Hey everyone, Julian here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my top 10 free VSTs of 2018. These weren't all released or made in 2018, but they're the ones that I've used the most in 2018, so I wanted to put together this list. And as usual with these videos, all the links for these are in the description, so you can just get them if you see anything you like. So I'm going to start off with Synth1. Synth1 is, as you would imagine, a synth, and it's this really nice virtual analog synth. So what virtual analog means is it's a digital synth, it's a VST, but it's made to sound really analog, and when they were making it, they really put a lot of attention into giving it that like realistic, warm, analog-y kind of sound. And I think they really nailed it. There's a lot of stuff I like about this synth. This is what it looks like. And as you can hear, this is just a default preset, but it sounds pretty good. And on top of that, you really have a lot of options in here as far as like synthesis goes. Like if you really want to dive in and just go crazy making your own sounds, there's a lot of stuff you can do with this, and you'd probably have to do a lot of things before you just got to the end of what you could do with Synth 1. So that's Synth 1. Next one I want to show you is called Dext. It's another free synth, and what it is supposed to be basically is like a virtual analog FM synth. So this is actually based off the DX7, hence the name Dext. If you don't know what the DX7 is, it's an old synth by Yamaha. It's an FM synth, and it just was like a really popular sounding kind of thing that a lot of people used. And this is meant to be sort of like a digital VST version of it that you can just easily download for free and work with and not have to do too much stuff. What I like about it is it just sounds very clean and nice. And it's not the easiest to make patches for, but there's a lot of really good presets for it, so and there's just a lot of, there's just like a lot of good stuff with it, so I wanted to include it in this list. Next one I want to talk about is actually a pretty interesting synth. It's called Harsh Digital Noise. And essentially what it is it's like, this is what it looks like. It's this synth, it's a very different kind of synth. It's basically the synth where you draw in, you start with like a saw wave, and you draw things over these two sort of things. You can blend between them here, and you can change the pitch of them. And then you just sort of like play around with that. So like, for example here, I'll make the brush size a bit bigger, and let's make this blue. So I can just draw like this blue here, and you can hear as I'm drawing over this, the sound is changing. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on here. I believe it's some kind of FM synthesis-based thing, you know, like where it's just sort of like some kind of crazy FM, and then based on what you draw in, changes that. But it's a really cool idea for making sounds, even if it isn't like the most usable synth. I just think that this idea is so like forward-thinking, because it's not just about like, oh, let's turn the filter, let's, turn the oscillator up or whatever. It's like more visual. You kind of just draw things in, and I really like tools like this where it's just sort of set up and then you just play around with it in a very simple way to get cool sounds. If that makes any sense. I think it's just a lot more conducive to like creating quickly and just being like more in general like creative. So that is Harsh Digital Noise. And the next ones I want to talk about are some effects. So the first thing I'm going to show you is called GTune, and it's a very simple tuner made by gvst.co.uk. Again, the link is in the description. And what I like about this is it's just a really simple, straightforward tuner. So this synth is it's got a little bit of a detuning kind of thing to it. Maybe if I turn this down to 0 there. Now we can see. So you can see it just shows you what note you're playing. Gives you the hertz, and it tells you like how many cents it is off. So it's just a really useful and nice tuner. If you're in Ableton like me, then you have the tuner in there. But if you're in an older version of Ableton, or you're in FL Studio or any other kind of software like that, then this is a really useful tool. Because again, it's just a really nice little tuner that doesn't have a whole lot of stuff you gotta do, and it just works, you know? Next one I want to show you is actually kind of similar to that, called Blue Cat Frequency Analyst, and it is, as you would imagine, a frequency spectrum analyzer. So what I mean by this is essentially it shows you like sort of where your sound is playing on the spectrum. So if I'm playing now, you can see here, it shows you kind of like all this stuff. We can actually kind of see our harmonics here, but it's a little bit clouded by all this stuff going on. But it's just really a nice tool to have. I think these kinds of things are very important because when you're making like music, you know, you need to be able to see what's going on. Of course, music is audio, and it's very much about like hearing things, but you need to be able to see, like, if you're having a problem with the low end in your mix, for example, and you can't figure out why, it may be like because one of your synths has a bunch of low end that you're not hearing, and having a tool like this allows you to see it and then eliminate it. So it's just a really useful thing, and I really like this one because there's a lot of controls, and the readout is just very detailed and easy to work with. So the next one I want to talk about is called Deep Blue Tape Stop, and it actually doesn't have a GUI. It's kind of just works like this. You just have these 3 controls, and then you kind of play with it. So if you guys know, the tape stop effect is very popular. It's like that kind of effect that you hear in a lot of stuff where it like goes down in pitch really quickly. I'll show you really quick. So this is just a really simple and nice way to do those kind of little tape stops, and actually I'll show you really quickly. All you have to do it is basically you just write in like your part, and then whenever you want the tape stop to happen, you just automate the trigger to come on, and there you go. It's really simple. It's just really nice. When you need that effect, you don't have to do a whole lot of stuff. It just works, and that's that. Next one I want to talk about is called M Vibrato. So M Vibrato is a vibrato plugin made by Melda Production, which, if you don't know, they have a really good free suite of plugins that they give away, and this is actually one of them. And it's just a really nice vibrato. I really like it for getting this kind of old school, like synth wavy kind of sounds, like almost like Boards of Canada type even. Just like, you know, it's like a really good way to just get those nice kind of old school vibrato, kind of like fake VHS tape kind of sounds, you know? Without having to do a whole lot of stuff, you know, you kind of just play around with the depth and the rate knobs, and it gets you on your way. If you do want to do a lot of stuff with it, though, you can actually have a lot of fun because there's a lot of stuff down here, like you can change the waveforms and give them all kinds of different harmonics and just a whole lot of stuff. There's a lot to be done with this plugin, and I think you can definitely use it a lot in your productions. So the next one is called Isotope Vinyl, and it's kind of in the same vein as that, where it's sort of like made to sound, it's sort of this plugin that's made to make your sounds sound kind of like old and dirty, and as you would imagine, kind of like a record, like vinyl. It's just a really simple and nice plugin that you can actually do a lot with that I hadn't even realized until recently when I re-downloaded it, but basically, you just have a few controls. You got your input gain and your output gain. So if you want, like, you could do the thing where you turn the output gain down and turn the input gain up and get some clipping. You have a few other controls. You got like this mono. You can convert it to mono. They got a bypass knob on it. These RPM and year knobs, which are actually pretty useful. It's kind of just like a filter, basically, on the sound that you can play around with. Like if I go to 1930. And then turn the RPM up, you can kind of hear it's like filtering the sound of it and just making it sound more old school. There's a bunch of different noises. There's like that mechanical noise and the electrical noise, and you can just turn those up and just have those in the background of your tracks. So that's pretty useful. There's the scratch knob, and then this dust. So if you start turning those up, you get like some nice kind of like scratchiness, and again, just kind of makes it sound more like an old record. There's the wear knob, same thing. It's just kind of like filtering it and kind of destroying the sound a little bit to make it sound more old. You get this warp depth, so you can play around with the warp model over here, which kind of like just really makes it sound old. And actually, this even has the spin down function. So if you want to do like a tape stop that way, you can as well. It's just a really nice and versatile plugin that I think you can use for a lot of different things. So the next one I want to talk about is called Tal Chorus, and it's made by Togu, or I don't know exactly how you pronounce that, but Tal This nice company, they make like synths and stuff. They have a lot of free software, a lot of paid software as well. But this is one of their free ones, and it's just a nice chorus sounding effect. It is a chorus. It's modeled after the Juno, I think 60 or something. I'm not entirely sure, but it's modeled after the Roland Juno style chorus. So you can hear it's just like this nice, very thick chorus that you can kind of put over a lot of things, and it's not going to be like too chorusy or too digital sounding. You can still get that old school kind of chorus sound, and yeah, I think it's just a really nice plugin. It also sounds very good on guitar if you're trying to get like that kind of like Mac DeMarco-y, like modern sort of like warped guitar sound. This is a really great plugin to do that, so I recommend checking it out if that's something you're interested in. Next one I want to talk about, and the last one, is called Tal Dub. It's made by the same company, and it's a delay plugin or an echo or whatever you want to use it for. But it's just this very nice sounding and very editable sort of delay plugin. It just got a lot of things on it that I really like. It's got like a filter. It's got, you know, you can really play around with all these things. And I think it's just a really useful plugin. For whatever reason, okay, there we go. The feedback was going a little crazy there. But you can hear it's just a nice sounding delay. And actually, if you do wanted to get those kind of oscillating delays, you can do that here. And then, like, if you play around with the time, you can probably get something cool out of it. But yeah, so that's Tal Dub. It's just a nice, really nice sounding echo and delay that you can use for a lot of different things. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today, guys. This is my top 10 free VSTs of 2018 so far, I guess. Make sure to let me know what you thought of this video in the comments, and make sure to like this video and subscribe, and check out my sample packs if you get a chance. And thank you so much, everybody. I will see you guys again tomorrow with another tutorial.